All right. And then next, and this was the match that I was referring to, we had the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley with his tag partner Claudio Castagnoli, of course, Marina Shafir, facing off against Adam Copeland and Jay White in a Brisbane Brawl match. This match, I think I expected too much out of. I'm just gonna start with that. I think that I expected it to be more of a brawl, and not to underappreciate what they did or to downplay anything that they did, but I just expected it to be nastier. Like, I expected it to be just really, like, beating the shit out of each other with, like, I don't know, just like crazy shit, you know, like thumbtack type shit, you know, and I don't know, like, in like a deathmatch type vibe. And again, like, I'm not sitting here even advocating for that, but that's just kind of what I expected it to be going into it, with it being a Brisbane Brawl and the characters that we have included, Moxley being the main one. You expect this guy to do like crazy shit. So it definitely was not what I expected it to be. And then the ending was just very perplexing. I was like, what the fuck? Like, so I'm just going to cut to the chase. You have Adam Copeland, okay, Edge, aka Cope, facing off against Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship less than a month from now. Was it March 9th? That's a confirmed main event. Your main event for the championship. You put him in a tag match against that champion. Cool. Makes sense. You then have him lose said tag match. And not even just be on the team that lost, but you have him be the one to essentially be choked out, to pass out from pain, whatever you want to call it. You then continue to beat down said challenger and challenger's partner. How the fuck is this going to help this dude going into the title match? Like, what? Like, I'm just sitting there like, surely this isn't going to be the end of the match. Surely Jay White's going to come in, or surely Adam Copeland's gonna Hulk up, right? Like, he's gonna feed off the fans. He's gonna reverse out of it, do something. And no, he just that was it. He just passed out. And I'm just like, what? Like, I was just completely just taken aback by what the fuck that they did. And I'm just like, I even contemplated on rewinding it to go back and to see if I missed like a brutal beatdown with some chairs or some shit beforehand, or like something. But they didn't. And then I was like, right as I was thinking about hitting the rewind button, I was like, let me not, because I don't want to mess up the feed. Because I caught it like halfway, like when it was like live, and then I paused it, and then I ended up falling asleep for a bit, and then I like turned it back on, and I was just like, I don't want to risk anything. So I was trying to be very careful with the feed, because I wasn't sure if it even recorded, but it ended up recording just fine. So I was just like, because in wrestling math, right, and in wrestling logic, that would mean that Adam Copeland should be on the road to redemption, and he should be on the road to winning, right? So you would think that, okay, like, he lost this one, but he's gonna come back, and they're gonna have that championship match. They're gonna have that one-on-one match, and when all the bullshit is to the side, and when it's just one-on-one, Copeland's gonna pull it out, and he's gonna be the champion. What? You don't, like, what? Like, again, like, this is coming from a solid Edge fan, you know, like, I always gave Edge more credit and held him higher than a lot of, like, fans apparently did. Like, I thought Edge was surely a legend, like, surely a Hall of Famer. Like, I remember being so like in retrospect, so impressed with how he really just transcended from that tag team wrestler to kind of like the mid card IC championship, and then going through the bullshit, like some real life stuff, and then becoming a main eventer. And the shit that he did with John Cena was just very like it was just prime stuff, dude. Like prime content. That match that they had at Unforgiven 2006, that TLC match was just incredible. So I've always been a huge Edge fan. Like even that podcast that him and Christian had before he was clear to come back to wrestling. Was it like Pod of Awesomeness or something? I loved listening to him because he just had like a mind for the business, dude. So I am a big fan, right? I'm not gonna say I'm like his biggest fan or anything crazy like that, but a solid fan, right? And we're supposed to be like on the journey back with him, getting back to the title, and just really retrieving that loss, right? So you mean to tell me that he's really going to be the one to dethrone Moxley? And if that's the case, then like, are you fucking serious? Like that'll be that. I'm not even going to get into that because that'll be a whole another conversation in a whole another like 30 fucking minutes or something. But and I'll save that for if that does happen. But my goodness, man, like and if okay, so that's one scenario, right? But like, and if that's not what we're going for, and Copeland then loses again to Moxley at Revolution, either A, clean, or B, because of fucking Wheeler Yuta interfering again, then like, are you serious? Then that'll be a whole nother conversation that we'll have here and a whole nother possible rant because like I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying very hard to keep whatever benefit of doubt that there is for all this shit, and surely they have a light at the end of the tunnel, right? And surely they have a final boss for Moxley, that he's not going to be able to be, and the final boss in the sense that that's going to conquer Moxley, right? Like he is going to be the one to save AEW, even though to be fair, they haven't really gone with that direction and that moniker lately, but we still don't have a clear sense of why Moxley's even pissed off to begin with. And I just think it's very, very funny too that like we are supposed to either know 100% certain that the title is in that briefcase or speculate that the title is in that briefcase. Like, why is it even a speculation? Like, why would I think that it's not in the briefcase? Besides the fact that it doesn't look like it can fit in the briefcase, but like wrestling and storyline wise, like why wouldn't I think that that's not the championship? Like what else would be in the briefcase? Like, and if that's the case, if I'm supposed to think that something else could be in the briefcase, whether it's like a contract for someone or whatever it could be, why isn't that being hyped up more? Like why isn't Moxley saying like, oh yeah, like the title could be in here, but what else could be in there with it? Or like that's not the only thing in the briefcase or something. Like if that's the direction that they're going in, but like don't make me speculate or question if that's really what's in the briefcase if that's not even the story or like that's not even a thing. Like of course that's the title, right? Like of course it is. So besides the fact that again, like I said, like realistically it doesn't really look like the championship could fit in there, which I guess it could once you fold it and you like really like put it in there, but it just looks like a tiny briefcase, which I think is kind of funny too. Like, why didn't you get a fucking normal sized briefcase? Like, oh, just so many things, man, so many things. But the fact that Copeland again was the one to lose, and it wasn't even Jay White, and again, like not that I'm even advocating for Jay White to lose, but if you're gonna have the Death Riders win, like normally and common sense would make you believe that Jay White would be the one to lose, right? Like again, like it sucks for him, especially since he's the one who threw out the challenge. But like, dude, like you have Copeland challenging for the fucking heavyweight championship in less than a month, and you have him pass out to Moxley. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I really thought, and again, it was a very good looking. I think it was like a choke, like a bulldog choke or something. It was a very good looking like bulldog choke, right? Like, it was fucking like it looked great, but what are we doing, bro? Oh. Oh. And then one more thing too before I read your comments. I was thinking, okay, well, how are they going to make this right? Right? Because, and again, like, I'm getting very tired of fucking seeing Wheeler Yuta get involved in this shit. And again, before anyone says, oh, like, bloodline this, bloodline that, I was fucking tired of that shit too. You know? Fucking tired of seeing Solo always be the one to, for a year straight almost, it felt like, or for longer. And if it wasn't Solo, then it was Jay before then, or it's Jimmy. Like, someone always fucking save a Roman, right? So don't even, like, don't even bring that up, because I hated that shit too. Like, it got really old. Really old, really quick. But, and again, like, that doesn't justify it either. Like, that's why, like, people crack me up and they're like, oh, well, WWE did this or AEW did that. And it's like, so? Like, A, it was fucking terrible when they did it too, and B, that doesn't justify it. So, like, it always cracks me up, yo. It's like, okay. It's like, I don't know. Like, some people just crack me up, bro. That's why, like, I'm so happy, like, I don't get involved in a lot of this bullshit, and I don't even know, like, probably, like, 95% of the shit that happens online. Because the 5% that I do know is fucking laughable. Props to y'all who entertain that shit, because, like, it couldn't be me, man. It could not be me. I feel like I'm a good multitasker, but I can't be enthralled with like a Twitter spat, tweeting back and forth and all that shit, and living my day-to-day life. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But also too, two more things, a good and a bad. Immediately after the match, like, the fans were chanting something. The fans were, I don't know what it was. I don't know if they were saying, I don't know the word that they were saying or what, but they were just not happy with the finish either. And I felt so justified. Excuse me, when I heard their reaction, because sometimes I feel like, yo, like, like I said earlier, like, do I just expect too much? But when I heard their reaction too, I was like, I felt vindicated. I was like, okay, fucking right. Like, I'm not the only one sitting here like, what the fuck did I just watch? Because sometimes I'm like, damn, did I miss something? Like, I always think it's me, right? Like, if something like a couple months ago, like, the power went out, I was like, fuck, did I not pay the power bill? But no, it was the apartment complex, like, they turned off the power and shit. So, like, oh shit. Yeah, is for some maintenance and, like, some emergency shit. And it's like, oh, we couldn't fucking tell me it's 4 o'clock on a Friday. Like, you didn't think to tell people, but okay. But yeah, so I'm always thinking it's me. I'm like, oh shit, what did I miss? But yeah, no, like, it wasn't me. And, like, when I heard that they were fucking just, like, not happy with the shit either, to say the least, I was like, thank you guys, thank you. And it makes me feel better too when the live audience really, like, just is vocal with their true thoughts. Like, if you're not happy with some shit, like, boo that shit. You know what I mean? Like, don't just play along. Like, boo that shit. But so that was the bad. But the good, Adam Copeland's entrance, bro, fucking amazing. The way that those fans sang his song, that was one of the best that I ever heard. One of the best renditions of, like, an audience singing a wrestler's entrance. It was just so well done. The cadence that they had, like, carrying the song, like, the same tones, like, everything. I was like, very well, like, fucking well done, y'all. Like, great job. Like, I was very impressed. And I actually may go back and rewatch that clip, because I was just like, yo, like, this is so cool. And you could see that it was really touching to Copeland, right? And it was really, like, getting him pumped up and emotional. And I can't imagine either, like, imagine that you, right? Like, you're out there, you're, like, you're doing whatever you love, right? Whether it's, like, a basketball, like, you're a basketball player, football player, whatever, or a wrestler, whatever. And you're out there and you just made your entrance or whatever, and you're up to bat or whatever the case is. And the fucking fans, man, like, they're singing your song, obviously not in basketball and shit like that. They don't have an entrance. But, like, even in baseball, like your walk-up songs and shit. But, and it's not as long, so we'll just stick with wrestling. But, like, just imagine standing in that ring, dude, and having them sing your entrance theme when the music is off, knowing every word. You're in a completely different country. And they're just so into you, man. Like, it's like, I can't imagine, like, being there and feeling that moment. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Props to Copeland too, because, we give the wrestling storylines, right? A lot of shit, but like the wrestlers themselves, like sucking themselves through a lot of shit. And he has obviously like he doesn't need to be doing this. Like he's made his money, but he's doing it because he loves it. So props to him.